Alrighty, getting away from the Attribute 4 event for a little break, we're going to be having a look at Thunder Dragons. Now, this is a huge Pale deck that I've been playing an awful lot recently. I have played this on the channel before, and you know what? It's really, really good. I did want to test the game for myself to see if the Pale version or the 40 card version is better, given the recent implementation of Tearlaments. So I'm going to be looking into that. Again, this is the testing and the plays and games that we got from the 60 card version. I am going to be making another video on the 40 card version, so you guys can sort of look at it, make your own decisions, and sort of go from there. But yeah, this deck's a lot of fun. We had a lot of really good games, and our win ratio was amazing. We basically breezed through a lot of ranks, so we did. So absolutely really well performed. There are some big tools in here that are super useful in the meta currently. Necroz is amazing, absolutely. Even in the 40 card version, I would definitely recommend playing this card. Keldo and Midora, of course, both using your own and stealing your opponents. Now, this list was adjusted to fit the new ban list, with Hawk being at 2, Roar and Dark, of course, being at 3 each. I maybe wouldn't play 3 Hawk in retrospect, or sorry, I wouldn't play 2 Hawk. I think Hawk at 1 is fine. And I would probably play another potential starter card, like maybe another Danger Jackalope or something like that. I feel like we were seeing Hawk at times when we didn't really want to be seeing it, and I would much rather just grab Hawk off of either Roar or Dark. But that's the only commentary I'm going to make right now. We are going to do a deck list at the end of the video, so stick around for that and watch the gameplay. We had a lot of really entertaining games. This version of it, I think, is going to be a little bit more bricky than the 40 card version, but at the same time, the payoff is also going to be huge in a lot of circumstances. So as long as you play your cards right, you can definitely make this work. But let's get into the gameplay. If you're new around here, or if you haven't subscribed already and you're coming back, feel free to subscribe. You know, we cover off all these kinds of cool decks all the time. Thunder Dragons is definitely one of my favorites, but there's a bunch of other ones like Dinos and a bunch of other things that we do on a regular basis revisit. So if you're interested in those types of decks and want to sort of stay on the forefront of that frontier, absolutely subscribe and join the Discord if you want to join into conversations about them. I'm not going to ramble anymore. Let's get into the gameplay. Alrighty, getting into our game 1 here. This is going to be a pretty interesting game against a Tearlament player. I did want to show off a little bit of Tearlament in the video. We're going to go into the Almond here, grabbing a monster so we can ditch it off of our Deer Note. Now we're going to Synchro Summon into the Chaos Ruler. Now this is the core combo with your Punk cards. You're going to be doing this. Basically, any game where you can get into your Punk cards, you're going to want to do this, because the value you generate off of this combo is insane. We're going to go into the Chaos Ruler first of all. Chaos Ruler pitches 5. Deer Note's going to revive back a Punk monster from the graveyard. So we get to revive our Ogre Dance. Most important thing about Ogre Dance is it's a level 8. Check the top 5 cards of our deck. If there's any lights or darks among them, we can grab one of them. We see a dark, we're going to grab it. We might as well. And we send the rest to the graveyard. Now we're going to Exceed Summon into the Zombie Vampire, detaching to send the top 4 cards of both players' decks to the graveyard, and choose any monster among them and summon it to your field. Now we steal their Midora before they get the chance to use its effect. You can also use that to counter their Tearlaments. If we had to grab their Siren, we would have been able to prevent this card's effect from activating, but luckily for us, we already managed to send the tools we needed to stop that from happening. They're going to go for Agido as well. Agido's only going to help us further. Again, this is a deck where we benefit very, very heavily from having a full graveyard, so if they want to continue giving us our cards, by all means, I'm not going to complain. Agido pitching a bunch of cards to the graveyard. Siren then attempting to fusion someone but cannot. They send a Kelbeck. Kelbeck gets milling as well. Graveyards are looking awful full here. We're going to go Nessie. Unfortunately, we dropped the Ash Blossom to summon Nessie, but it's fine. Grabbing a Hawk from the deck, which is amazing. We're going to discard the Hawk. They're going to activate Keldo here. Now, the only thing is, they aren't able to stop us from reviving a monster, so they aren't. So I'm not entirely sure what it was they were planning. They're going to shuffle back our Hawk more than anything else, but we're just going to summon out the Roar, which was our whole plan to begin with. Going into Cross Sheep here. Now, this is why I probably wouldn't, in hindsight, I really would rather have a Synchro monster in these seconds on the Cross Sheep points to, rather than an Exceed monster, but it's fine. We're going to summon out a Dark, go into Thunder Dragon Colossus. That allows Cross Sheep to revive a monster back from our graveyard, and our Thunder Dragon Dark is going to get searching for a card. We're going to grab Thunder Dragon Roar. We might as well keep it for next turn. Cross Sheep then resummoning the Almond to the field. Now we're going to banish 2 from the grave to summon out our Chaos Ruler. Now one of the monsters we banished was Necroz. Necroz banishes the top 5 from both players' decks, and we managed to hit our other Necroz, pitching another 5 to the banish pile. Now look at the amount of Tearlament names that we banished off of our opponent here. Necroz is amazing in this matchup. You will absolutely decimate your opponent's ability to fusion summon. Now we're going to synchro summon into the Psychic End Punisher using their Mudora before the end phase. So we use it before the end phase because we already have a Mudora of our own as well, ready to use. Or at least I thought we did. I guess we must have already used it. Yeah, we did. Alright, my bad. But either way, the Mudora is going to basically help weaken their graveyard. We shuffle back the Kelbeck and the Agido because our opponent's deck is so close to being decked out that if we can get them to mill those cards again, we're just going to decimate their deck count. Right? They can't search their deck for cards because of Colossus. The Psychic End Punisher is a huge unaffected wall, so we are in control of the game here. Our opponent can't really play too well. They're going to ditch the Kelbeck. Kelbeck sending another 5 cards. They send a Rhino Heart and an Agido. Agido, of course, activating here. So they're going to get pitching. We decide not to do anything about the Rhino Heart because it's not that much of a threat. They're going to drop their Merly to the grave. Now, Merly, we're going to do something about. Merly, we're going to shuffle back into the deck alongside some of our key resources that we would like to recycle. He's going to recycle some resources of his own here, hopefully just stacking up his deck as high as he can, as well as getting back some of the key cards that were sent to the grave. So we're just shuffling back what we need. We are going to prevent this fusion summon. This was the turning point of the game. He activates Triple Tactics talent, attempts to steal the Psychic End Punisher, and the reason we know that is because he went to steal a monster and nothing happened. If I have less life points than you, my Psychic End Punisher is unaffected by your card effects. There was nothing he could have done. There was simply nothing he could have done. I guess worst case scenario, he could have maybe stolen the zombie vampire and milled a few cards, but he didn't really have enough cards left in his deck to make any meaningful plays. So yeah, absolutely nothing he could have done about that. Let's get into the next one. Alright, getting into game 2 here. We are going second, and we're going second against Branded. Now that's okay for us because we've got the Ash Blossom. I know everyone else has abandoned Ash in favour of other hand traps to stop Tearlaments, but I'm going to stick by it because goddamn is it a good card. They still have the Aliber though, so they're going to try their best to make some sort of alternative play work. They're going to go Branded, opening, dropping the Mudora to summon out their Ad Libitum, setting 1 and passing. So depending on what the set card is, this may still actually be a decent board, and he of course now has the Mudora in his graveyard to get shuffling. Now the Mudora by itself is enough to shut down a whole bunch of strategies, but this could be Branded in red, this could be Infinite Permanence, this could be any number of problematic cards. We're just going to have to wait and see. We are going to start our combo off with Gold Sark, banish any monster out of our deck. We're going to banish the Thunder Dragon Dark so we can search our deck for the Thunder Dragon Hawk. Now we're automatically in a good spot here, but we are going to go Chaos Base, dropping the Roar. He does have an Ash Blossom. Now that's a very good hit for him. That is going to definitely slow us down an awful lot, so it is. So we're just going to go Hawk here. Hawk's going to bring back the Dark. But the Mudora, again, this is a circumstance where he was attempting to prevent our resurrection. He's going to shuffle back the Hawk and the Roar, but that's fine because we can also resurrect from the banish pile, like our Thunder Dragon Dark, so Mudora can't stop that. So we're going to bring out Colossus. It does stop our fusion play, and it does stop some of our follow-up, which is unfortunate, but it doesn't leave us helpless. We're going to take out the Ad Libitum, normal summon the Mudora, just so we can use its effect during our opponent's turn. It was Branded in red, but now that we've normal summoned the Mudora, the Branded in red can't do anything for him, unfortunately. So we shuffle back the Branded opening and the Ad Libitum, removes his follow-up, removes his protection, shuffle back in our own Gold Sark, which then allows us to basically, hopefully, top deck it because it's a broken card. And yeah, so he can't search his deck for cards, he can't activate anything to add a card from his deck to his hand. We're going to take out the Aliber here with the Colossus. Unfortunately, we ourselves don't have very much we can do either, but we're definitely in control of the game as it stands. All we need is one extra card to use our left arm offering, but our opponent's not even going to stick around to find out. I guess he just didn't have anything he could possibly have played, so as his namesake says, he has in fact lost. Let's get into the next one. Alrighty, now I'll be the first to admit, I sort of autopiloted through this game a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, we definitely misplayed pretty heavily, but you'll see. I wanted to show this off because, goddamn, I love this card so much. This card represents what broken Yu-Gi-Oh was back when I was like a child. Now this was before my time, right? I'm not gonna go on as if like some sort of Yu-Gi boomer. No, this was before my era of Yu-Gi-Oh. So it's so cool to see that a card this old and this iconic can still see play, and it's not just playing it as like a meme or a joke. It's genuinely really good in this deck. Genuinely, it's really good. It's searchable, it's a level 8, it's light, it's got big attack points, it's just really good. They're going to go into their Unicorn. They don't have an awful lot else to do here. They are going to search their Bryonic, and then they're going to end their turn. Now, I didn't read this card's effect. This card says that the effects of anything summoned from the extra deck are negated. I didn't know that, so I just kept playing the game until eventually my cards started getting negated. I did autopilot through this a little bit. I'll be the first to tell you. I was autopiloting, we summon out the Chaos Ruler, this gets negated, and I sort of think to myself, oh, I wonder how. Anyway, and we just move on. I didn't stop to think about it. We go into the Zombie Vampire here. I go into the Zombie Vampire, I activate its effect, I detach material, it gets negated, and now I'm like, oh wait, hang on, something is obviously happening here. And then I read his card. I'm like, alright, great, now we need to deal with that. So we're going to go straight to the battle phase, we're going to wipe out his monster here, and then we're just going to activate Left Arm Offering. So we're going to banish the whole hand, and I know I talked about this card being really good, it's not gone for long, don't worry about it. We're going to grab that Grass-Look Screener here. Activating that Grass-Look Screener, we're going to mill the top 20 cards of our deck to the graveyard. Using Chaos Space, we're going to shuffle the Blackluster Soldier back into the deck. And now we're going to grab another copy of Chaos Space. We're going to banish to summon out the Chaos Ruler. So even after completely blundering our main phase 1, we're still able to combo off and get a few plays going here. We're going to use Destrudo in the graveyard. First time I'd actually used this card in this deck. To summon itself, reducing its own level by 5. So now we can go off into Eperon de Fleur, which is awesome. Now we're going to link 2 into Cross Sheep. Now I should have summoned Cross Sheep over here, but it is what it is. Grabbing Thunder Dragon Roar. We had, unfortunately, we didn't have any Hawks left to grab. We had one banished, and we had one in the graveyard. Small miscalculation, so we grab the Roar so that next turn we can hopefully do something with it. We decide, you know what? We're going to go Chaos Space. We're going to grab the Blackluster Soldier that we just shuffled back. Our plan here was hopefully just survive off Baron de Fleur, and then we're going to beat thine ass using the Blackluster Soldier. So Diviner of the Herald comes out. Diviner of the Herald, that's a threat. I don't want to worry about that. That's going to start modulating its level, synchro summoning. It's going to start searching their deck for ritual monsters by sending the Herald. It's a problem. I'm good. They're going to banish from their graveyard, summoning out the Necroz of Bryonic. Bryonic then can shuffle back up to 2 monsters that were summoned from the extra deck, swinging for 2,300, leaving us at 1,400 life points. This is getting unnervingly close, but we have so many resources at our disposal. We're going to start with Chaos Space, banishing to shuffle back the Chaos Ruler, drawing in the Mundora, which is a good draw. Thunder Dragon Fusion, grabbing us a Thunder Dragon Roar. So now we've got a bit of a bulked out hand. Roar's going to grab us back Fusion here. Fusion then being able to... So first we summon the Blackluster Soldier by banishing the Dark and the Hawk. That's going to start us off with the Thunder Dragon Fusion, because now we've got a load of banished Thunder Dragons to shuffle back instead of using up our graveyard. So it just worked out better in terms of card economy. We summon out the Titan, activating Nessie. Nessie discarding itself, which is fine with Nessie. We're going to grab a Thunderbird. Now we activate Thunderbird's effect. Luckily, we do hit the Oracle here, summoning out the bird, drawing a card. Into the battle phase, Blackluster Soldier wipes out Bryonic and activates its effect so it can attack again. Then we swing in 28 and 32 for lethal. There you go, Blackluster Soldier picking up the slack in a game that I threw and winning it for us. Really solid. Honestly, the card is just dope. Banishing 2 from grave to summon, level 8, it's light, it's searchable, it's returnable off of Chaos Space. It's just amazing. Love that card. I love that it's good. Anyway, let's get into the last game. Alrighty, now this is a opponent that I found rather interesting. We're going to start off our combos sort of similar-ish. We're going to go Foxy Tune here. Now games like this are why you want to play the Punk Fusion, right? So you're going to see why. Normally we wouldn't be able to do the Punk Engine with this hand, but because we play the Fusion card we can. And you're going to see that now. So we're going to drop Driver to summon out Zeoman. Zeoman's going to grab the Shakira, or Sharakusai, whatever its name is. We're going to call it Shakira. We're going to Fusion summon using its effect into the Raising Carp. Raising Carp then tributes itself to summon out any 2 punks directly from the deck. So where's Deer Note and Zeoman, allowing us to Synchro Summon into the Chaos Ruler and start the whole play. Chaos Ruler then pitching 5. We get to, of course, resurrect one of our punks from grave because of Deer Note, bringing back any level 8. Which one specifically doesn't matter as long as it's level 8. Checking the top 5 of our deck here, grabbing any light or dark among them. We saw a Foxy Toon. We think that may be useful later in the combo, sending the rest to the graveyard. Now we're going into the Zombie Vampire. Now the information you get off of this card is also invaluable. We're going to send 4 cards from each player's deck to the graveyard. We see we're playing against heroes and we steal their Shadow Mist. Now why do we steal Shadow Mist? We did also have some useful cards of our own. We could have summoned Ogre Dance or something like that. But we choose Shadow Mist because so for the activation condition of a card to be met, a card has to be in the location where its effect specifies at the resolution of a chain, rather than just at some point throughout a chain. So even though Shadow Mist was technically in the graveyard, it wasn't in the graveyard at the resolution of the chain, therefore it never counted as having been in the graveyard. So no search. So that's why we stole it, to stop that search from happening. We are able to resurrect the Chaos Ruler here by banishing 2. We banish the Roar among them. Roar summons out the Dark. Now we can link off using the Dark into Cross Sheep. Dark then is going to search our deck for Thunder Dragon Fusion. We already have the Hawk in hand. Hawk is going to basically resurrect our banished Roar over to here, attributing it off for our Thunder Dragon Colossus. Colossus then triggering Cross Sheep to get summoning from the graveyard. It also provides a 700 attack point boost permanently. The way this card's effects work, I'll explain very briefly, is whenever something is summoned to a zone it points to, it gets to apply effects according to the different types of cards in the zones. So if there's a ritual, you draw 2, discard 2. If there's a fusion, you resurrect a level 4 or lower. If there's a synchro, all monsters gain 700 in your field. If there's an exceed, all your opponent's monsters lose 700. So it's really cool because that 700 boost now, we get to resurrect the monster and boost our field permanently, which is awesome. So Colossus suddenly got a lot harder to get rid of. We are going to tribute off the Zeoman that we resummoned for our Foxy Toon, so we can exceed summon into the Hope Harbinger Dragon here, and we're going to end our turn. So he can't search his deck for cards, which is super detrimental to heroes, as well as us having a Ash Blossom, as well as the Hope Harbinger, of course. But he's just got Super Poly, so he's just going to fuse us away. Now I was really triggered when I saw this, because the chances of him having one in his hand, even after we had sent one to the graveyard, is really freaking low. So I was annoyed when I saw that. Crosskeeper then banishing itself to draw 2, return 1 back to deck, while Shadow Mist searches the deck for a card, is really useful. Of course, Shadow Mist grabbing the Solid Soldier, then the Crosskeeper is going to draw 2, return 1. They're going to now link summon off into Extra Hero Wonder Driver. I guess the Skurridao wasn't enough for them because they're going to bring out their Solid Soldier, resetting the Super Polymerization to the field. He's going to try and Super Poly us twice. This is an absolutely mad lad. Playing actual just raw elemental heroes. We decide that there's probably not going to be another good Ash target during this turn, so we're just going to hit the Blaze Man. But I forgot, we hit it with Called by the Grave at the beginning of the previous turn. These 2 turns have both been so long that I forgot. We're going to grab Polymerization here. Huge misplay from us. We're going to use our Hope Harbinger, redirect his attack. As much as we misplayed, he misplayed just as hard. Summoning out Stratos from the hand because of the Wonder Driver, and I don't know why. He must have thought that effect was once per turn, because he tries with the Stratos again. We're going to remove our last material, taking out the Stratos as well. Now we know that set card is Super Polymerization, so we cannot get too comfortable just yet, but we are in at least a playable position. But he's going to go for the Super Poly, dropping the Shadow Mist, fusing into Elemental Hero, the Shining, triggering off Shadow Mist and the Solid Soldier, of course, to grab himself a Stratos from the graveyard, as well as another elemental hero monster, or hero monster in general, from the hand. So there is the Spirit of Neos. Spirit of Neos is going to be a slight problem. Stratos is going to search the deck as well. They're going to preemptively chain Maxi. What the actual hell am I playing against? This has to be like Jaden Yuki himself on the other side of this playing field, because this is nuts. We're going to activate the Chaos Ruler in the graveyard, banishing 2 to resummon itself to the field. Yes, we are under Max C, but we see our huge vulnerability on our opponent's ability here. And they've got 1700 life points. We've got 6800. Now, who in class knows the secondary effect of the Psychic End Punisher? So we summon out our Zeoman, Synchro Summon into the Psychic End Punisher. Now we're going to go into the battle phase. Well, of course, we boost up by 700. In the battle phase, the Psychic End Punisher gains attack points equal to the difference in our life points, going up to 9300, swinging over the Blaze Man for 8100 points of direct damage. And that's game. Doesn't matter how many life points you've got left at that point, 8100 over his monster. That's lights out. Good night. Pretty simple. Let's get into the deck profile. Alrighty, getting into the deck profile here, we're going to try and blitz through this a little bit. We have done this profile on the channel before, so you can always refer back to that, but this one we're going to keep nice and simple. We've got the Psyframe Gamma package, nice monster to get. Ash Blossom, nice negate. We got the triple danger Jackalope. All the dangers sort of do the same thing. You can reveal them in hand and then discard a random card in your hand. If the card is not the danger that you revealed, you get to summon the danger and then draw one. If the card is the danger, then they all have unique effects that activate. In Jackalope's case, Jackalope will special summon any danger monster from your deck out to the field in defense. Yugi Punk Sharakusai. Sharakusai basically pays 600 life points to fusion summon. That's the only utility for this guy while he's on the field. He's also a level 3 tuner, which is helpful. Zeoman, also a level 3 psychic tuner, will pay 600 life points to grab any punk monster directly from your deck to your hand. So this is one of your primary starter cards for the deck. Definitely really powerful. Necroz then. Necroz, whenever this card is banished, you will basically banish the top 5 cards of either player's deck, which is amazing in the current metagame because everyone likes the graveyard, nobody likes being banished. So Necroz can preemptively deal with a lot of problematic cards, which is awesome, especially considering you don't really mind your cards being banished, so it all works out. We've got the Chaos Twins, both searchable off of Chaos Space. You summon one by banishing the opposing attribute. Banish Dark to summon Light, banish Light to summon Dark. Whenever one goes to the graveyard, it searches for the twin. Pretty straightforward stuff. Fairy Tail Snow, banish 7 cards from your hand, field, or graveyard to special summon this card from your graveyard as a quick effect, not once per turn. And whenever it's summoned, you get to flip a card your opponent controls face down. So the banishment effect is really useful at triggering your Thunder Dragons, the resummoning is useful for link material, its level is useful, everything about the card is just useful. So yeah, Fairy Tail Snow is dope. We've got Keldo and Medora, both of which can banish themselves from your graveyard or your field to shuffle up to 3 cards in either player's graveyard back into the deck. Really important to be playing cards like these in this meta against the likes of Tearlaments. These are broken, absolutely. Triple Thunder Dragon Dark. Whenever this card is banished or sent from the field to the graveyard, you will search your deck for any Thunder Dragon related card and add it to your hand. You can also, as a quick effect, discard it to add another copy of Thunder Dragon Dark directly from your deck to your hand, which plays well with Titan's effect, which we'll get to in a minute. No Punk Deer Note's effect. Deer Note can reveal itself and another Punk monster in your hand. You get to summon one and send the other to the graveyard, and if it's sent from the field to the grave through any means, not just the means that we typically use, which is Synchro Summoning, you get to resurrect any non-level 5 Punk monster directly from the graveyard. Usually you're going to utilize this card as well as one of your level 3 tuners to Synchro Summon into the Chaos Ruler and then resurrect hopefully a level 8 Punk monster that you would have sent there either through this guy's effect or some other means. So really key card. You can even play more copies of this if you're worried about milling it off of the likes of Grass, but one has been working out just fine for us, so that's what we kept it at. Single copy of Thunder Dragon Hawk. We were playing it at 2, but we saw it at times we didn't want to see it. So I think 1 is fine considering how it's really easily recycled back from your graveyard or banish pile by Roar or search from your deck by Dark. So I think 1 is fine. 1 is totally fine. Basically you can discard this card to special summon a Thunder Dragon monster that's either in your graveyard or banished. Really important for your Thunder Dragon Colossus. Thunder Dragon Roar, you can discard this card to add back to your hand one of your Thunder Dragon cards that are banished or in your graveyard, or if this card is banished or sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special summon any Thunder Dragon monster from your deck to the field in defense, but it gets bounced back to your hand during the end of that turn. Really important sort of combo starter. This card typically, you're either A, going to be using it to recycle your Roar or your Fusion, or B, you're going to be banishing it to summon your Dark directly from your deck to then trigger Dark's effect to search your deck for a card, and bang, comboing from there. So the free roar going to 3 was nice because there's a lot of cards that allow you to banish this directly from your hand or your deck. So having this card at 3 is actually pretty nice. We've got Destrudo. Destrudo can special summon itself in your hand or graveyard by paying half of your life points and targeting any level 6 or lower monster you control. It summons itself to the field and then it reduces its level by the level of the monster that you targeted. So for example, you saw in our gameplay, we targeted a Thunder Dragon Dark on our field, we summoned it and we reduced its level by 5, bringing it down to level 2. Now this card is a tuner, that means the ability to modulate its level as well as freely resummon itself gives you much greater access to your little synchro package. So this card is definitely really powerful, especially considering how often things like this are going to be getting sent to the graveyard. Then we've got Danger Nessie. Danger Nessie, we're not playing too many different danger cards, but Nessie is one of them. We already covered off what the dangers do, but if this card is discarded, you get to add a danger monster from your deck to your hand. Then we've got the Danger Thunderbird. If this card is discarded, you get to destroy a set card your opponent controls. Primarily, this card is here to be resummoned off of either Jackalope or Searched by Nessie. It's useful because it's a level 8 and it's dark. That's pretty much it. Bigfoot. If you have Bigfoot, I would play this instead. Dark level 8, just like everything else. It's slightly bigger and its discard effect is slightly stronger. You can target a face-up card your opponent controls and destroy it if this card is discarded. So this is definitely a better fit than Thunderbird, but I just don't have it. So if you have Bigfoot, take out the Thunderbird, put in the Bigfoot, it's better. But not a massive difference between them, right? They share the common traits are really what we're after. The level and the attribute. Then we've got some more Chaos Space targets. The Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning, searchable off of Chaos Space. Banish a light and a dark monster from the graveyard to summon it, which is already really good considering there's a lot of cards in your deck you want to be banishing. It's a level 8, it's a light, both of which are awesome attributes to have. Then it has 2 main effects. Once per turn, you can either target a monster in the field and banish it by sacrificing your attack for that turn, or if it attacks and destroys a monster, it can attack again. So you're either able to freely banish a monster in the field if you're in the middle of, if you're just going to use this for like an Exceed summon or Synchro summon or something like that, you just banish a monster, then you get to remove it from the field, or you can swing with it and take out a bunch of life points and take out a bunch of monsters. So either way, super useful card. The Chaos Creator, again similarly a level 8 monster, so we wanted a light level 8 that was searchable, and we wanted a dark level 8 that was searchable. The Chaos Creator is the dark one we went by, special summoning, same conditions, banishing a light and a dark. But what this guy does instead of being super aggressive is you can basically target up to 3 banished monsters with different names. One of them gets special summoned and the rest are shuffled into the deck. Excellent for recycling, excellent for resummoning and extending. Really, really solid card overall, and both of them are searchable. So that's, we wanted a dark and we wanted a light. An alternative to the dark could be Thunder Dragon Duo, if you wanted to do that, but I feel like the creator is simply more powerful. But it's up to you. Then we've got our level 8 punks. We've got Foxy Toon. Foxy Toon will discard itself as well as another card in your hand to special summon out a non-level 8 punk directly from the deck. Call your Xiamen, your Sharakusai, or your Deer Note. The Ogre Dance will discard just itself to add a non-level 8 punk from your deck to your hand. So this adds from deck to hand. This will directly special summon. One's light, one's dark, both are level 8. Really, really awesome. They also both have an effect where you can tribute a punk monster on your field to summon these guys directly to your hand. Now, that's not something you'll use very often, but it is a key little piece of versatility that will allow you to often go into some additional Exceed monsters in situations or on fields where maybe there wasn't an awful lot you could do with a level 3 tuner, right? So that little bit of versatility is amazing. Then we got Foolish Burial, of course. Pitch any monster from your deck to the graveyard is incredible. So many cards you want to have in the graveyard, so absolutely mandatory. Left Arm Offering. So this card is almost entirely here just to search your deck for that Grasslook Screener. You'll banish your entire hand to add any spell card from your deck to your hand, including that Grasslook Screener, of course. Now you have to have at least 2 other cards in your hand, but the cost as such isn't usually all that bad in this deck because, like I said, there's a whole ton of cards in your deck that you want to banish. You want to banish your Roar, you want to banish your Dark, you want to banish your Necrophase. So ultimately speaking, the left arm offering, the banishment cost, is usually massively offset by the benefit of the cards that you'll banish, as well as the benefit that that grass looks greener will bring to your deck. So definitely worth playing a 3, 100,000%. Gold Shark, banish any monster directly from the deck. Again, bang, bang, bang. Some of the other cards as well, but mainly these 3. It's a no-brainer. Allure of Darkness, no-brainer. Banish a Dark monster and draw 2. Abso-freaking-lutely. Sign me up. And that grass looks greener. You're going to send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard until your deck size matches your opponent's. Great way of dumping a bunch of resources into the graveyard, which is really all you want, you know? You just dump a bunch of these cards into the grave and go nuts. Thunder Dragon Fusion. Shuffle back from your field, graveyard, and banish pile the monsters required for a Thunder Fusion monster. Typically, you're going to be summoning, well, not typically, exclusively, you're going to be summoning Thunder Dragon Titan off of this, which is a huge beater, and you can also recur this card over and over with Thunder Dragon Roar. That's why we're playing 2 Titan, because you can use 1 as fusion material for the second, so you're always going to have 1 in your extra deck to be summoned, and you're always going to have the ability to grab your fusion back. So it's just an infinite loop of Titan, which is really, really cool. Thunder Dragon Fusion, you can also banish it from your graveyard on the turn after it's sent to the graveyard to search your deck for any Thunder Dragon monster, which is also pretty cool. Chaos Space, you will drop a light or a dark monster from your hand to the graveyard to grab any light or dark monster that is between level 4 and 8 that cannot be normal or special summoned. So this card can search for the Chaos Twins, or it can search for your Lackluster Soldier or the Chaos Creator, just by dropping something of the opposite attribute. Typically, you're going to search for one of the Chaos Twins if you have plays and you want to extend and combo and go nuts, or if you just want to go for something huge and go for game, you've got your 2 level 8s you can search for as well. So this card definitely really, really good. You also have the ability to banish it from the graveyard to take any monster, light or dark, that cannot be normal or special summoned, or sorry, normal summoned or set, shuffle it back into your deck, and then draw 1. So you can recycle your Blackluster Soldier, your Chaos Creator, your Chaos Twins, or more importantly, some of your Synchro monsters and extra deck monsters, like the Chaos Ruler, like Colossus, like things like that. You can recycle them back, draw an extra card. It's just pluses all around. The card's nuts. You've got E-Tele, special summon any level 3 or lower psychic monster directly from your deck or hand, but banish it. Easy summon for your Shark or your Xiamen. No brainer, this card is nuts. And finally, Call by the Grave, because of course we do. Call by the Grave is great. Helps stop Max C. Primarily, what you want to stop in this deck is Max C. That's why we're playing Gamma, that's why we're playing Ash Blossom, that's why we're playing Call by the Grave. Now, we are playing a 60 card deck, so you are going to draw these cards less consistently, unfortunately. But you just got to take that chance. You're just trying to maximize your odds. Going into the extra deck then, of course, we have the Colossus, the mandatory Colossus. This card can be special summoned by tributing a Thunder monster on your field, so long as you've activated the effect of a Thunder monster in hand during that turn. So that's why activating your Thunder Dragon Hawk to discard itself, grab back a Thunder Dragon, is basically a 1-card ticket to your Colossus. That's why so many of your plays cycle around this card. You've seen those plays a million times on this channel, and easily 4 or 5 times in this video alone. So if you're not sure how it works, go back and watch the gameplay. It's super straightforward. So long as this card is face up, your opponent cannot add cards from their deck to their hand except by drawing them. That means no searching their deck for cards, which is huge in certain matchups. And it also can't really, it's a little bit difficult to remove, because anytime it would be destroyed by battle or a card effect, you can instead banish a Thunder monster from your graveyard to protect it, which will then usually in turn trigger off some effects that your opponent really doesn't want to mess with. You've got the Rising Carp. This card basically is a product of the Sharakusai. Basically, you contribute him to special summon any 2 punk monsters with different names from your hand or deck, except level 8s. So this is basically a way of getting into your Xiamen and Deer Note without otherwise having the ability to. Doesn't come up super often, but I think it's definitely mandatory to have in here, because there are a lot of situations in which maybe you don't have the resources to go into the full Xiamen play, and this will dramatically decrease the odds of that happening. Double Titan, we've already sort of talked about it, and its utility with Thunder Dragon Fusion. If this card would be destroyed by card effect, you can instead banish any 2 cards from your graveyard instead, making it a bit difficult to remove. 3200 beater that can constantly come back, and while it's face up, if you activate the effect of a Thunder monster in hand, you can quick play, pop a card in the field without targeting. Pretty dope. Moonlight Dragon, on summon, bounce a monster back to your opponent's hand, or if they summon a level 5 or higher monster, you also get to bounce a special summon monster back to their hand. Both of which are really useful effects, especially in the meta right now. Tearlaments actually makes this card more relevant. It wasn't super relevant before now, but now it's even more relevant, being able to bounce the Kit Kalos back to the opponent's extra deck. Nice, love to see it. Chaos Ruler, you saw this card in the gameplay. On summon, excavate the top 5 cards from your deck, send them to the graveyard. You can grab a light or a dark among them and add it to your hand, or you can special summon it from the graveyard by banishing both a light and a dark monster. You saw this card in basically every single duel we played, you know how it works. Bron de Fleur, generic level 10 synchro, has an Omni Negate built in, pretty straightforward. Psychic End Punisher, level 11 generic synchro monster. So long as your opponent has more life points than you, this card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, which makes it pretty damn difficult to get rid of, especially considering once per turn you can pay 1000 life points to target a monster you control, and any card your opponent controls, banish both. So there's spot removal, there's protection, and lastly, during the battle phase, at the beginning of the battle phase I should say, this card can gain attack permanently equal to the difference between your life points and your opponent's life points. So this card gets huge, it's spot removal, and it's usually unaffected by card effects. This card's nuts. And its level is insane as well. Level 11, such a specific level, which is really useful to have. Then our level 8 exceeds. We of course have number 38 and number 90. Each of them are a spell negate and a monster negate respectively. Nothing else really notable about them, just generic level 8 exceed monsters. And the non-generic one, the zombie vampire that you must play, will send the top 4 cards of either player's deck to the graveyard and summon any monster among them to your field. That is super important. Realistically, that's all it does, but that's super important. It tells you exactly what your opponent's playing. You get to summon an extra card to the field, you get to mill a bunch of extra cards to the graveyard. It's just a useful card, and it's super ridiculously easy to summon as part of your core punk combos. We've got the Striker Dragon in here as a way of utilizing your Chaos Twins a little bit better. Summon one twin, link it off in the Striker Dragon, one twin searches the other, and then you can summon the other by banishing the first. It's a play we've done a million times on the channel. It's an easy way of putting 2 monsters on board without utilizing your normal summon. Pretty straightforward. IP Masquerena, get link summoning during your opponent's turn into your Nightmare Unicorn, which will spin a card back from their field into the deck, just at the cost of discarding a card. Pretty useful way of removing a card if you just have leftover monsters on your field you want to utilize. We haven't been using Masquerena a lot recently because Cross Sheep has stolen the spotlight as the premier link monster in the deck. This card's primary use is that if you summon Thunder Dragon Colossus to one of the zones that this guy points to, or any fusion monster for that matter, then you get to resurrect any level 4 or lower monster back from your graveyard, which is incredible because being able to resurrect some of your tuners means that you can use your synchro package way more consistently. That's one of the biggest issues we had with this deck, was that we weren't able to fully utilize our synchros because once we used our tuners, they were used. There wasn't really any way to recur them because they weren't light or dark, they weren't level 4 or 8, so they were just a bit awkward in terms of trying to reuse them. So Cross Sheep brings that level of utility back, which is super important. And yeah, that's the whole deck. Again, I sort of tried cutting that one down. It was still almost 20 minutes of me talking. But yeah, again, if any of that was too fast for you, we have a plethora of videos on the channel around this deck, different variants of it. So again, watch the gameplay again, or if you're still left unsure, you still want to see more, get a little bit more exposure to it, you can, of course, either watch our previous videos or hop into the Discord. Ask me about it. Ask some of the guys in the Discord about it. I'm definitely the biggest Thunder Dragon head in the Discord, but there's a ton of people in there who love the archetype and love playing it, who would be more than happy to chat to you, answer your questions, help you build your deck, whatever it is, myself included. Now, if you've got this far into the video and you have suffered through 20 minutes of me rambling into the microphone about a deck, then feel free to subscribe. Obviously, there's enough wrong with you that you enjoyed what you're doing, so absolutely I implore you to subscribe and like the video if you have, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.